Now, I needed a massive and consistent impact before I brought this topic up, but I think it's time. Now, former Mets top prospect, because he's not considered a prospect anymore, Francisco Alvarez has burst onto the scene this year as the 21-year-old power phenom has posted an OPS over 850 with 12 home runs in 150 plate appearances. Defensively, Alvarez has also excelled 76th percentile in framing and top 10 among catchers in blocking runs, catcher defensive adjustment, and Fangraphs positional defensive runs. Alvarez is making an early bid for the NL Rookie of the Year and is also on pace for a 5.3 Fangraphs wins above replacement this season. We've seen teams do this before with their young players, and we have not seen the Mets do it. It's hard because he's a catcher, he's so young, but buying out the arbitration years, giving him an extension. Frank, huge fan of Francisco Alvarez. Do you extend him right now? Have you seen enough?
Yeah, I have. I mean, we see all these other teams do it all the time in even smaller sample sizes than what we see with Alvarez. We see guys who, before they even play a major league game, get big time
Corbin
contract
Carroll?
extensions. Yeah, Corbin Carroll. I mean, he's the guy that Alvarez is battling for Rookie of the Year. Meanwhile, Alvarez is now represented by the Bad Bunny agency group, and it's like with the way the Mets have been with Alonso and things like that, and how much of a nail biter retaining their own guys was. Like we said, Brandon Nimmo was an absolute miracle. They finally retained one guy. Oh my gosh, let everyone else walk. I don't think it's going to happen because they're not. In my opinion, I don't think they're smart enough. They just never do it. I mean, why is it that all these organizations can get their players to agree to, but the Mets can't? You know, what is it about the Mets that they're the one organization that can't do it? So I would do it if I could, though. I mean, I would make it a top priority because this guy, he's once in every however many years you want to put. I mean, once every 20 years, maybe, especially in Mets history. We haven't had one like this since Piazza. And it's awesome to watch. It's exciting to watch. It's a lost art. A catcher who can hit for power like that, you don't see it. And then to go along with that, like I said, the fact that he's giving you quality defense as well. I mean, that is really rare. I mean, you shouldn't take that for granted. Like we said, he's had big moments already. He's come up in the clutch multiple times already. He's a guy that's always looking to improve. We saw him. There was a quote. I forget when it was from, but he was talking about how like people said that his defense wasn't good, so he used that as a motivation to get better. I mean, this is a guy that is a very hard worker that wants to continue to improve and become a more complete player. And you've seen that as he's gone on and how quickly he makes those adjustments to become a much better player. So to me, I would do whatever I can to keep this guy forever, pretty much. I mean, that's the way I feel. Because I just think that he's a perfect fit. I like his personality. I think it works with New York. And just everything we've seen from him has just been so good. And I mean, how could you not want to keep this guy for long term? Right now, it's like, when else are you going to get a guy like Alvarez in this organization? I mean, we'll see what Parada does, but I don't see him being a prolific power here like Alvarez already has been. It's been such a welcome sight to see. Like Tony said, it's been the silver lining of this season. This is a guy that also got called up. They butchered the way they did it anyway. I mean, they called him up early. He struggled, sent him down, called him up again. And like the way they handled the whole situation was poor. And the guy is still playing fantastic. So he's able to overcome all that. So he's a guy I definitely would make top priority to extend as soon as possible. Even if it's today, tomorrow, I'd really be trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be the smart move based on how things are going right now. The guy's unbelievable, hitting dingers left and right, showing power that I mean, that fly ball he hit against Atlanta, it looked like a pop-up. You mean fooled Gary Cohen, which I guess is not really a big feat at this
It's just a
point because
launching pad in Atlanta. They got some elevation things too, but yeah,
yeah,
he
there's
still has crazy
something.
power. Even the one, the Holderman one, that one too. That one really carried. I mean, that was one I was like, is it gonna go? But it did. So he just has that.
You know what that's called, Frank? You know what that's called? In the scouting report, day one, light tower power.
Yeah.
There
No,
you
for
go.
sure. And we knew that. I mean, if you saw the highlights in Brooklyn when he was about to knock people off the roller coaster, I mean, this guy's been doing it since he got here.
And look, I mean, that home run aside, the fact that he hit an additional home run in that particular game, so he has a couple of multi-home run games now, you got to try to lock him up. I'll go back to earlier when I was still on the stream with you guys, and I said, hey, I don't really feel the need to lock Pete Alonso up. I said that. You guys, that was one of the topics. I don't want to I wanted to see what he did this year. Now it's looking foolish because he was having such a tremendous season, 22 home runs, leading Major League Baseball before this injury on the hit by pitch from Charlie Morton. But I think you need to start going by that kind of addendum of what the Atlanta Braves have been doing, locking up their guys young and early and not having to rely on the older veteran player, because we've already seen how it could negatively impact the team just with Verlander and Scherzer. We put a lot of our hopes and faith into Scherzer at 38, Verlander at 40, and they're not producing. So sometimes the best way to build your team is from the inside out.
I'm looking at one of those typical Matthew Brownstein tweets. He always loves these specific statistics, and he had one about, here are some of the other hitters that were younger than 22 to hit a dozen home runs in their first 45 games. Mel Ott, Eddie Matthews, Willie McCovey, Albert Pujols, Bryce Harper, Juan Soto. That's a pretty good company, and those are rising superstars right out of the gate. They came into the game, and they were one of the best, burst onto the scene. What Francisco Alvarez is doing right now, and he looks like he's going to be a star for a very long time. I know he is a catcher, and, they don't age fairly well, but, I would extend him all the way before he turns 30. Sure, why not? Do it right now. What is it? 8 years, 80 million? Do it. Go ahead. You had the audacity to give 10 million a year to James McCann, so fucking give it to Francisco Alvarez. That's how I feel.
Oh my God, you'll never get off that.
I never will, because he's terrible and we're still paying him. We're still going to be paying Nito, and we're paying Narvaez, and we're the Bobby Bonilla collection of catchers now.